The Anthony Cumia Show. So glad that you decided to join me this evening. Plenty of hijinks and shenanigans to talk about that have transpired over the course of the week. And I was just chit-chatting about one of them, the mental institutions. We'll also be taking your calls, of course, 800-848-9222. And the mental institutions. These things are so needed in this country right now. Sure, we have our run-of-the-mill criminals, your people that just want to steal, do harm to people. They're not technically mental, but they're violent, and you want to avoid them at all costs. And that's who the police. That's what the police are for. That's who they arrest and hopefully put in jail to keep them away from the civil society that we profess to live in. But then there's the mental patients. And like I was saying, I'm not a hard guy. I'm not a mean, uncaring person. I understand mental illness is an illness. In many cases, the person can't help themselves. They have some kind of a mental thing. And drug abuse goes hand in hand with that. A lot of people have mental illness because of so much drug abuse over the course of the years. And it's all fine and well to want to help. I want to help these people. We can't just lock them away. Well, yeah, I think we can. I think we can, and I think Trump has made a step toward that with his executive order from this past Thursday to start involuntarily committing people to mental hospitals. I know there's a lot of controversy here, which I really don't see how controversial it is to want to keep dangerous people away from society and perhaps put them somewhere where they're not a harm to other people and themselves. And you got doctors that can treat them. And look, I can guarantee it's not like going to camp. I don't think any of these mental institutions are like going to camp where it's all fun and games. Go watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Right until they lobotomize Jack Nicholson, it looks like a pisser. Just looks like a lot of fun. You're mental. You get to wear your pajamas all day and your slippers and you shuffle around. You got a kind of a bitchy nurse telling you what to do. But, Nicholson takes you out fishing. You can watch the ball game or not, depending on what mean old Nurse Ratched has in store for you. But a lot of movies about mental institutions, unless they're documentaries, I don't know. It's like George Costanza said in one of the Seinfeld episodes where his girlfriend was committed or signed into a mental institution. He's like, yeah, I envy them. Because, they get pity. Pity's good. You get to wear your pajamas. So George Costanza understood the upside of a mental institution. But look, I understand the difference between TV shows and reality. I don't think these places are what they call a hoot. Geraldo Rivera, many, many years ago, when he was making his bones in this business, he went and exposed Willowbrook Psychiatric Hospital. And, oh, boy, did that just blow the lid off of what was going on in a lot of these mental institutions, at least in the New York tri-state area. It was abominable. Oh, my God. Just the abuse. People sitting in their own fecal matter, and half of them didn't have clothes on. They're performing all types of activities and actions that you probably shouldn't do in public. And it blew the lid off it. It was a huge news story, and people demanded reform in mental institutions, which I guess they should have. It's not like a thing where you just go, oh, well, that's what's happening. Cool. A lot of people said something has to be done. We can't just warehouse these people in these big buildings. Well, I think the solution was, well, if we can't fix it and we can't get money to fix it, or we don't have the capability, we don't even know how to help these people. It was the 70s, for God's sake. They didn't even have as many of the psycho drugs and everything back then. They just decided, well, we'll let them go. We'll free them, like Born Free. Just open the doors and let them go. So they closed down a lot of these places. And between even the 60s, even before the great Geraldo had that expose, they were already starting to shut down a lot of these institutions because people kind of got wind of what was going on in there and said, yeah, we can't be treating people like this. So they let them out. They actually put them in places that were more local. Like you wouldn't just ship your mental patients from, talking about Long Island, let's say. You wouldn't just ship them from Suffolk County up to a mental hospital anymore, miles away. You'd keep them close. So they'd open up these little inpatient, outpatient mental facilities in neighborhoods. Sometimes they were a house in a neighborhood. And it was called deinstitutionalization. It's a mouthful. Deinstitutionalization. And this was to help. Well, it probably sounded like a good idea at the time. Most things do. Most things presented to the American people are presented in a way that's going to be awesome. They don't normally just come up and go, hey, people, boy, strap in. This is going to suck. It's always like, we got something we're working on. It's going to be great. The mental patients, we're letting them out. How is that great? Well, we're going to put them in your neighborhood in these little like halfway houses and facilities where we call it mainstreaming them. And that way they get to go to the corner store or talk to people on the street or cave their head in with a cinder block. We don't know actually what they'll do. And maybe initially there was a lot more effort being made to help these people. And it wasn't as much keep them away from society because they're a danger. It was, hey, we got to help these people out, and just shoving them in a giant Gothic-looking building with gargoyles on the side and barred windows hasn't been doing it. So that's what it's been for many, many, many years now. Well, of late, it seems to have turned to the point where there are very violent mental patients running around the streets. And they are doing unbelievable harm and damage to society and to people. You want to go to work. You have to, especially in these big cities, you have to take public transportation. You have to walk around on the streets at all times of day and night. And what we've seen are that these mental patients do some harm. You let them all out. The care went downhill over the course of the years, and no one seems to want to address the problem. So Trump recently, Thursday, I know he's been talking about it a while, but Thursday signed that EO to start committing these people. The police could walk up and if they're committing a crime, arrest them. They're not going to be in the precinct for 20 minutes, never mind actually being taken to a facility like the Tombs in New York or Rikers Island or something. They are going to be let back out. We've seen time and time again, they arrest these lunatics, and you see it in the paper. They call them brutes. A brute was caught today after he knifed somebody in Chelsea. Oh, my God. A brute. What is this? A 1920s cartoon? Yeah, these are dangerous people. So they can arrest them if they're committing a crime. A lot of times they do these things, run off. No one ever catches them. It's not like you could go to their address or run their license. So something got to be done. Something got to be done that transcends just the cops trying to clean up an area. And hopefully this EO does something, because you got these tent cities in every big city. L.A. is terrible. Seattle, D.C., the capital. And there's these long lines of tents and boxes and shanties with tin roofs built. And everyone living in these places are mental patients. And for some reason, a lot of the politicians in these states and cities don't want to do anything. These tent cities have been there for years and years and years, and nothing gets done. And people have appealed to law enforcement, do something. They say, I can't. Our mayor says we can't. The governor says we can't do anything. So it gets worse and worse. And just in L.A., I think I saw a story the other day. Mental patients were camping out in an underpass tunnel, a pedestrian underpass that went under a major highway. And no one could use this thing because it was dangerous. It was too dangerous. The mental patients in there, those long, dark tunnels. You're going to go in there to cross the street? So instead of clearing it out and solving the problem, they bricked up the entrances. They just made a tomb out of it. Hopefully they left a few homeless in there. But that was their solution. Instead of actually addressing the problem, that was their solution. We're going to take a quick break. I see the phones are alight with people wanting to talk about nuts, mental patients. You will have your chance in moments when we return with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Talking about mental institutions, Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday to start committing people that are on the streets and they're nuts. These people have been a huge problem to the big cities in this country, and nothing's been done about it. There's a little history here before we go to the phones. The 19th century saw a large expansion in the numbers of asylums in Western industrialized countries. In contrast to the prison-like asylums of old, these were designed to be comfortable places where patients could live and be treated in keeping with the movement toward moral treatment. That's the thing, moral treatment. In spite of these ideals, they became overstretched, non-therapeutic, isolation, and neglectful of the patients. So by the beginning of the 20th century, increasing admissions, more people, more nuts, had resulted in serious overcrowding, causing many problems for psychiatric institutions. Funding often cut. I mean, you gotta think that if a city or a state or even federal government is strapped for bucks, the nuts are the first person they're gonna cut off the budget. Especially during periods of economic decline and wartime. Asylums became notorious for poor living conditions, lack of hygiene, overcrowding, ill treatment, and abuse of patients. Many patients starved to death. Ooh, see, I think it's 2025, and I think a lot of people. Oh, you didn't know that? 2025, and a lot of people still have this thought that institutions would be like this. And that we wouldn't be able to actually be therapeutic and moral these days with some of these people. But if you think the street is a better answer than some type of institutional living for these people, I don't know. Doesn't seem that way. All right. Kevin is in Long Beach, and we'll talk to Kevin. What's up, Kev?
Yeah, hey, Ant.
Oi.
Yeah, this was all after Geraldo did his expose. Then it was Rockefeller that started closing them all, but they may be closed, but they're still there. Like Creedmoor and all these other hospitals, they could still be used. You know,
they built those built those buildings like brick crap houses, if I may be so bold.
Yeah.
Those were real good old construction. They're still there.
Yeah, and they expected these people to self-medicate when they were released.
Yep.
But what happened was now to exacerbate their madness, they got hooked on illegal drugs.
Yeah.
So now they're completely gone. And you ever see the Tenderloin in San Francisco? That is frightening.
It sounds
That is
like
frightening.
sounds a little gay. Sounds a little gay, Kevin. I haven't been to the Tenderloin in San Francisco, but what is it? Is it a bad area? It's like a bad area of mental patients doing fentanyl.
It's drugs. Yeah, it's terrible.
Right,
and you know the other thing
you.
you mentioned about Cuckoo's Nest. You know, when I first saw that, I thought all those guys were really nuts because they had no career yet. You know.
Yeah, and then you realize it's Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and Yeah. It was, everyone in there is pretty much a star. It's crazy.
Even that bald-headed guy up against the fence, he was in The Hills Have Eyes. You know, he was a good actor. He was
that guy. Yep. All right, Kev. I appreciate the call, my friend. These buildings, they're still there. They're still creepy. But the bottom line is, they're on the streets. Something has to be done. And Trump is taking, he takes abuse for everything he does, for every single thing he does. But this one, then come up with an answer. The Democrats want to bitch about this. Come up with an answer then. You might be able to actually do something that could help the mental patients and the cities that they're roaming around in, hurting and destroying people and things. Casey is in Detroit, Michigan. What's up, Casey?
Hey, how are we doing? Hey,
good, man.
I got to take off the speaker. Hey, you know what? And they have. I had an aunt that was institutionalized a couple times when I was a kid, and she came out okay. And she's in her 80s now, but I can see where the care in these institutions deteriorates as the people just get worn out from
burnout.
So many retarded, and you hate to say that throwing the people out on the street is cheaper for the states and the cities, and it's not good for anyone.
No, it's cheaper in one respect, but then you're just transferring the cost to law enforcement and lawsuits because people getting clocked over the head are going to sue the city for not doing their job and just taking care of.
The cities don't see that.
No.
In the short term, the cities don't see that.
No, of course not. They never see anything properly or economically viable.
Hey, I don't know the answer.
I don't either. It's a tough one, man. All right, Casey. They're in the D.
All right, thanks,
Take
man.
care, bro. He's in the D, as they call it. The D. Well, I can't. What's that? 28. Yeah. All right. Susan's gonna have to be very quick, though. Susan, how you doing, darling? You're gonna have to be fast. So down that shot and let her rip.
Oh, that sounds great. Now, listen, didn't you live in New York City during the 80s, or when did you live there?
I lived on Long Island, but I worked and went there a lot, so I saw it.
Okay, I lived in New York City from 1980 to 2020, and when I came to New York City from the pristine streets of Chicago, Illinois, where you could eat off the streets, I never, ever saw any homeless person. So I came to New York in 1980, and that's when the bag ladies were around, and they were in their cardboard. They had their brown bags.
Right.
And, so during the Democratic time, let's just fast forward to 1994 when Rudy Giuliani got in.
Yes.
There's a roadmap. We know what works. We have to duplicate success. So this is my understanding, is that when there were homeless people sleeping in their cardboard boxes, the police would go up to them and say, buddy, you got to either here's your choices. You can come with us. We'll put you in a shelter, give you a bed, clean clothes.
They'd roust them. You can't stay here.
They would say, so your second choice is you can, if you need medical help, we'll take you to Bellevue. We'll give you, get you some help there. The third choice is jail. Okay, because you do not have a choice to stay on these streets.
Yeah. They can't do that anymore, and hopefully the Trump EO gives them power to start doing that. I got to go, Susan, but thank you for the call. Well, we get it. There were choices back then. There aren't now. We got to get rid of them. Be back in a moment. Boy, every week I toil. It's a chore. I must pick who is the clown of the week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Usually very, very difficult between the politicians, the mainstream media, news, Hollywood, just a cavalcade of clowns to choose from. But this week, standing out above and beyond all the rest, you may remember her from her giant cans in Trading Places, Jaime Lee Curtis. I can't believe we used to call her Jaime Lee Curtis back in the day. Then she started doing those ads for the intestinal health medicine. You don't want your former hotties to be telling you the best things to take for a stiff stool, as they call it. But yes, Jaime Lee Curtis, she's very liberal, and she's constantly bashing conservatives, Republicans, MAGA, Trump, religion, whatever you want to say, the right. She's usually bashing, and she doesn't stop here. She says that these are very scary times that we're living in, and that wouldn't make her clown of the week in and of itself, because a lot of these people say we're living in these terrible, scary times and Trump is a dictator and all this. But she actually has a solution to the scary times. And that, my friends, is why I dubbed her this week's Clown of the Week. Jamie?
Obviously, the world is very unstable. Feels very scary for many people. Immigrants in this country are terrified. Politically, it's really scary out there. Usually in times of turmoil and strife, you cling to something familiar, something safe, comfort food. And I think Freaky Friday is cinema comfort food. You know what you're going to get. It's satisfying, it's moving, it makes you laugh, and you feel better for watching it. And if that isn't...
Come on. What a ham-handed way to shove your plug in everyone's face under the guise of it'll help. Hey, are you scared? Do you think the world's going to end? Are we on the brink of a civil war? Is the climate change going to wipe us all from the face of the continent with one tsunami? Well, Freaky Friday. Freaky Friday will fix all that. What a disgusting display of self-promotion using people's fears. You know, they're idiots. The fearful these days are idiots. But she knows they're impressionable imbeciles. So she decided to preface her dumb plug for her dumb movie with some fear tactic and then throw the plug in there. God. When she removes that top in Trading Places, if I may just change gears here for a moment, Dan Aykroyd is in the bed. He's been beaten in prison. He's sick. and she's going to take care of him. And she removes that top and slides into bed with him. And I got to tell you, one of what do you think? All right, the bikini getting out of the pool scene in Fast Times. What's her name there? She was a great one too back in the day. But yeah, Jaime Lee Curtis. Now, it's I don't know. I don't know what to think. It's just terrible. But there she is, plugging her wares, selling her goods under the guise of some type of terrible scenario. Oh, it's fearful. It's crazy. Politicians, dictators, Trump. Freaky Friday. That'll fix it. I got a couple of more calls left from our previous topic on the homeless mental patients, the institutions. So we'll go to Dave. Let's go to Dave in South Jersey. What's up, Dave?
Yeah, I take great umbrage to when they call them homeless and unhoused. These people are home resistant. The one thing, I don't think anybody realizes this, but every hospital in the country has what's called the 8th floor, the crazy 8.
Why is it always the 8th floor? I think you're right.
Because
in Huntington Hospital, it was the 8th floor, yeah.
I don't know why, but in New Jersey specifically, they don't make it out of there and straighten up or stay on their medication. They take them to Trenton Psychiatric for the criminally insane.
That doesn't sound like a fun place.
Inside this building, it's a round rotunda. On the perimeter is all a bunch of cells, and in the middle of the rotunda is a cop's wicker. That officer sits there, and there's a yellow line that goes completely around that wicker. He sits in there with a loaded shotgun with seven shells in it, no plug in it, and they're not allowed to cross that line, because if they cross that line, they get the blast, and they put them right in Potter's Field.
See, that's a solution.
They don't talk about this. They don't talk about this. When they shut Greystone and they started putting these guys in the county jails, the jails couldn't even handle them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because they're not people that can fit in any type of society. Even if in prison is a society. It's a society of people. They're just living in prison. These people cannot function in any type of regimented, organized, structured thing. So they don't fit anywhere except a mental institution where that's the society. You have to be nuts.
You know what I think would straighten this out? I don't know if you've heard, but there's a $3 million bounty to catch a live Bigfoot. If they would have kept a couple of these missing links and turned them loose on the streets in New York, I think that everybody would straighten up pretty quick.
That is an interesting take that I must say was not on my little bingo card for this evening, Dave.
You have a good night.
Thank you, man. Take it easy, bro. Bigfoot. No, that, like I said, it's not. They're not meant for societal living. And it's sad. It's terrible. You could use all the words you want to use on what it is, but it's very unrealistic, if not completely delusional, to believe that these people can just be put into society in some way. And he's right about this. The medication thing. I guess in the institutions they would go around with the little cup and the pills and go, open your mouth, throw the pills in there, make sure they take it, and they're medicated. To think that these people would go out into society and continue to take their medication. Almost every instance you see of somebody that's a psycho and the cops have to come up and they charge the cops with a knife and the cops have to do what they have to do. You read the story and it's like had psychiatric issues, was off his meds. His mother said he hadn't been taking his medication. Well, how good is a medication if they have to take it themselves and they have mental issues which would prevent them from taking it? You know, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these people think it's some kind of a conspiracy to do them harm if they take the pills, so they throw them away or what have you. Maybe Elon's Neuralink will help in some way. I know everyone is freaking out about this Neuralink thing. I mean, Elon, obviously, Tesla, SpaceX, he's got his hands in a few things. The Boring Company, where he's drilling tunnels under Vegas, Starlink, this high-speed satellite internet. But he's also into this Neuralink thing. And what I'm seeing being promoted by him and the company is a potential to get people that have serious mental issues taken care of, blind people. It's this little electronic unit that goes into your head, connects to your brain, and can bypass certain damaged or missing parts of your neurological. Crazy. Because the first thing people want to think is, so are we all going to have to get this? And now, the government can flip a switch and your Neuralink gets shut off. And look, it makes sense. I mean, the government, anytime they've gotten their hands on technology that can get in the way of our personal freedoms, of course they've done that. So I'm not without my reservations either. But if there's a way where you can substitute this oral medication that people have to take to keep them from losing their minds by some type of Neuralink device, yeah, okay. I'd be willing to at least look at the experimental phase. But here's the big problem. Who gets to dictate who's nuts enough to have that thing drilled into their head? They might just say, well, he's a staunch conservative. What does that mean? Well, it means he's racist and has mental problems, and he's a white supremacist. And then before you know it, that is categorized as something that needs the Neuralink to stop you from your evil, terrible, harmful thinking. It's always who gets put in charge to dictate how nuts someone is. I think I could do the job. I could walk around New York City and just look and point and go, that guy, he's nuts. I know it. But it's like the red flag laws for gun control. A lot of these gun control people, it's the same thing. They go, well, we want red flag laws that say if you are not psychologically capable of responsibly handling a firearm, you are not allowed to have a firearm, which in essence is saying you're not allowed to exercise one of your God-given constitutional rights. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big thing for someone to just say, well, you don't qualify. Well, I'm an American citizen. I'm a human being. I qualify. That's pretty much all I need to be to exercise my constitutional rights. But they will say red flag law. And again, on the outside, it looks good. Hey, we don't want these nuts walking around with guns doing church or school shootings or what have you. But what's the criteria for a red flag and who gets to dictate that? Because again, I've seen people, liberals, politicians, supposedly respected politicians that say that certain political ideology alone, being a conservative, being a MAGA supporter, is a mental illness. They've said it. So if they're the ones in charge to dictate who gets to exercise a right or not have a chip in their head, I can't see it being good that people move forward with this and start saying, well, you're nuts enough to have this put in your head. Because, again, it's always who gets to dictate who the mental patient is. Because one man's mental patient is another man's genius. I'm certain people would think that Elon Musk is mental enough to have one of his own chips put in his head. It could happen. Let's see. Yeah, homeless. All right. Steve from the Isle of Manhattan. What's up, Steve?
Right. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jaime Lee Curtis and Rosie O'Donnell would love to go down to Alligator Alcatraz and be comfort girls down there.
Hey.
And people...
Why not? It's open. Go ahead. Go down there and help them out. Take care of them.
And there's not only alligators down there, but there's American crocodiles down there. Eventually, someday, they'll throw a woolly mammoth in there. I'm pretty sure the Russians and the Chinese do eco-terrorism. They bring the pythons down there and the other species of crocodiles down there.
I have to believe the promotion of Alligator Alcatraz was a lot bigger than the actual reality of it. It's funny. It's pure Trump. It's trolling. But the truth be told, I'm sure no one's ever going to get to the point where they're swimming in a swamp and getting eaten by an alligator trying to escape. Just don't see it.
Unless there's a big heavy rainstorm and one of the crocs decides, the Nile crocs decides to come into the campsite. But the thing is now, the left, people talk about this for years. I mean, Mayor Koch went at it. A woman called herself Billy Boggs, or the talk show host. Koch even offered to put her inside his rent-control apartment in Greenwich Village. And all the doormen said that Koch has a lot of nephews. A lot of guys came to Koch's apartment saying now he wanted a niece to come in there.
Hilarious nephews. Yeah, I bet.
He had a lot of nephews going in there. And the thing is, they want this. They want to destroy the cities. That's why they're going to get a commie elected in November. They got all the people running out. Down in Texas, the five biggest, I don't know why people want to move there, the five biggest cities in Texas are all run by left-wing lunatics.
Yep.
You got all the left-wing lunatics from California moving down in there. And California is gone, and Texas is eventually going to be gone too.
Yeah.
And that's what they want. They just don't want to tell you, and I've said it for years, is a 65 Immigration Act, along with illegal immigration and refugee status, has turned this country upside down. They've come into this country. They've rearranged the furniture in here, and they want you folks to become a foreigner in your own country. Go to certain neighborhoods in New York City and tell me if you think you're in New York City anymore.
Yeah, they've gone about destroying every institution, every ideal, and the ideology of America and being an American. They've just wiped it out. That's not important to anybody that comes here these days from another country, and they love it. The Dems, the libs, the communists, socialists, whatever you want to call it, they love it because their biggest enemy has always been a free, strong American citizen, and they hate that. So they try to rip down every single brick of that institution.
Well, they hated the conservative movement, and they felt the only way to dilute it is just the best way to destroy a culture is just to flood it with foreign third world culture.
Yeah. And
the thing is, I'll tell the people why the clock took a long time to run out on this country. The country's gigantic. You never heard anybody say, I'm going to stay and fight. I'm not going to. They all ran. They voted with their feet. They got out. They gave up all the neighborhoods. Then eventually the neighborhoods give up the cities. And the country's so big you can run. But people have realized, I said this for years, the left will fly the third worlders into your new neighborhood.
Into your neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah, how the hell? How do Haitians end up in a small town in Ohio? It doesn't just happen. They don't come from Haiti and then go, let's go to this little town in Ohio. It's a strategy. It's a plan. They take them there and drop them off to dilute these American towns and screw the whole thing up and make it un-American. They make it where it's not, you're not able to do what you did as an American before.
They do it to overwhelm the welfare system and the criminal justice system. The Haitians, if people remember back in 2022, they were down in Texas. They were brought into Texas, either flown in there. People were saying they were flown into Texas. Remember, they were under the bridge for a few days. It was a big story. And then all of a sudden they disappeared. And some chicken head Republican host said, oh, they must have sent them home. They're Republican. Yeah, right. They were flying them into Springfield, Ohio, to basically turn that area upside down, and like they've done it all over the country now.
With the Somalis in Minneapolis, same thing. They just make an enclave, they give them a foothold, and they know it's going to spread like a cancer. So,
right,
I got to go, Steve. Ahead, I got to take a break, but thank you for the call, my good friend. I like Steve; he's a good guy, and we'll be back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Stick around. Are you one of those people? I'm just asking the general you, because I know I was like this for many years. Where in the weekend is your weekend screwed by thinking about Monday? Is it Saturday? And you go like, tomorrow's Sunday, but then, Sunday's just the day before Monday. So do you screw your whole weekend up? Friday? Sometimes by Friday night, you're hanging out with your friends. It's already getting late. You know it's time to go home. And then you're like, well, at least tomorrow's Saturday. But then, Sunday. Then Monday. Yeah. It's kind of a negative way to look at things. But I would do that all the time. When I used to work for a living. When I used to actually have a job as an HVAC tech. Yes, Apex Tech. Got a dandy set of tools I was able to keep upon graduation. I'd be remiss if I did not mention what happened at the Cincinnati Jazz Festival. A few white people were beaten up, just assaulted on the streets at a lovely Cincinnati Jazz Festival. And the footage is all over the internet. Is it on the news? Oh, stop. I looked for this story. I put assaults, Cincinnati Jazz Festival, hit the news. There was a newspaper from India that had the story, and then another website-only news agency. Nothing from CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, Fox News. No one. AP. No one was reporting this story as I searched for it. And it's a problem. It's a problem. There were white people that had gone to this jazz festival in Cincinnati, and they were beaten for being out, walking around as white people in a group of black people. So do you have the news story up there? I think there was an actual news story because the language in it is anger-inducing. Okay, let's play this and listen to the news report right out of Cincinnati. The local news will report it, but nothing national. Watch this.
New on WWT, viral video shows a fight break out in the middle of the street in downtown Cincinnati. And police chief, state leaders now releasing harsh words for those involved, including the ones who reported the video instead of jumping in to help or even dialing 911. News 5's Sean McKinnon joining us live outside District 1 headquarters with what we know about the investigation into that video, Sean.
Yeah, Councilmember Mark Jeffries said this fight happened at 3 a.m. today. We've got new video tonight as police piece together exactly how and why this started, and state lawmakers take notice. A massive fight between more than a dozen people.
All right, could you pause this for a second? Because this wasn't a fight. How many times did they use the word fight? This is the mainstream media. These I can't even say what I want to say. A fight, a massive fight, a fight between people. This wasn't a fight. These people were assaulted. They were walking around. And a group of people decided to assault them based on nothing but race. So they started punching, kicking, stomping on their heads like we've seen many times. The language they use, fighting. They're not fighting. Oh, we'll get to the bottom of it. He had harsh words. Harsh words? Are you out of your mind? There should be a lot more than harsh words going on. But this is what happens. This is what happens. No news coverage, nothing. And then, when Hulk Hogan drops dead, people say, he dropped an N-bomb once, and we hate him and hope he's burning in hell. Well, why doesn't anyone talk about this issue, this violence issue? No? No one wants to talk about it? Yeah. It's the agenda-driven mass media is garbage. And this needs to be addressed and dealt with. But, well, I'm insane. Back in a flash. Treason, Obama, and look, what I might have just said during that little break was that I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't have a lot of confidence that anything is going to come of this. It's already winding down where people don't have, that initial spark that people get. Did you hear? Dude, did you hear? Tulsi Gabbard, she's going to be arresting Obama. And people that forget very quickly think that it might actually happen. I've seen too much. We've just seen it happen too many times, and I don't believe anyone of any power in this country on either side will actually pay for something that they've done. They came close with Trump, and that was something he didn't even do. They had to make up some ridiculous charges. They had to indict him on some ridiculous bank loan charge. Everyone thinks, it was 34 felonies of sexual misconduct and assault. No, it was all having to do with someone saying that Trump put the value on Mar-a-Lago a lot higher than it actually was at the time he was trying to get a loan for it. And then he gets the loan. He pays it back with interest on time. No harm, no foul. And then they convict him of these 34 felonies. Thank God he won the presidency, or I think they would have put him in jail. I think he would have gone to jail. But people that actually do bad things. See, the people that did that to Trump, that came up with the charges, and, the Letitia James, and all the people that actually came up with this kangaroo court to convict Donald Trump on those charges, they're the ones that need to be tried and convicted and put in jail. They're the ones that used the judicial system for political gain. So anyone that really does bad things, illegal things, treasonous things in this country, they never pay for it. There's never actual justice for stuff like that. But, we hear Tulsi and Pam Bondi and, God, Don Bongino, all of them. And who am I to cast judgment on all of them at this point, knowing that it never works? There are people and powers in play here that we don't really know about. Believe me, a lot of people can speculate, and I've heard a lot of people's theories on it. But what's the bottom line? Years and years go by, presidential term after term, and congressional and Senate terms go by, and no one is held accountable for any of this nonsense. I'm going to censure you. You're censured. Oh, what does that mean? Absolutely nothing. He's been censured. Even impeachment, that was a big thing. Uh-oh. When I was growing up, and even when I was grown up, when I was actually an adult, I thought impeaching a president meant he was gone. Like, that's it. You get impeached, you're out, the vice president takes over. No, you could be impeached. You could be impeached twice, and you're still the president. So none of it means anything. We will never see one of these slimy pieces of garbage actually be held accountable for anything on both sides. And believe me, there are 99% of them are on the left, the Democrats. But, those ones on the right, they'll never be held accountable for anything either. So Tulsi, here's, I guess from about a week ago, here's her referring Obama for prosecution. This was a big story like a few days ago. This is how fast this nonsense goes. This was a huge story. Everyone was like, yes, finally, Barack Hussein Obama will meet the justice that... No, it's already dying down. So let's listen to Tulsi talking about referring Obama for a prosecution.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Ed, go ahead.
Director Gabbard, thank you. So just two questions, but to begin on that. The president yesterday, you've inferred that the former president helped lead a coup. Based on what you now see, do you believe President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
The Senate Intelligence...
Oh, well, there you go. Well, that sounds like they're going to lop his head off any day now. Take him out into the town square, build the gallows, build the guillotine, put the stocks up so you can put his hands and his head through it and just throw tomatoes and cabbage at him. They had a lot of tomatoes and cabbage back in the old days. And then, he'll be found guilty of treason and disposed of in the proper way. But it won't. The trumped up charges. Look, I am certain that Obama and his ilk were trying everything in their power to prevent Donald Trump from being elected president. They stated it. They said as much. We will do anything we need to do to keep Donald Trump out of office. And they did, legal or illegal. But for some reason, when they're screaming that no one is too big to be held accountable, they are the ones that are too big to be held accountable. It's really quite disgusting and quite counter to everything that the government was supposed to be at its inception. But that's kind of ridiculous, too. I even understand at this point how ridiculous it is to believe that we would still adhere to these principles that the forefathers had written down in the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence initially, and all the sacred documents stated that the government was servants to the people, that the true power was in the hands of the people. And any politician that would dare try to use that office, corrupt it, treason, anything, they would be disposed of. And no one would argue the point. But nowadays, come on, stop. Politicians are celebrities at this point. That's what they are. They're celebrities. They walk around. They have bodyguards. They shoo people away. You ever see a reporter, or even, I don't even care if it's a web guy, a podcast influencer with a microphone that is asking a question of a politician in the Capitol. They shoo him away. They shoo him away. No, get out of here. Go away. And that shouldn't be allowed. They should have to answer to the people, whatever questions the people have. Their bodyguards shove them away. They get into an elevator, and the bodyguard's got his hand up like, don't dare come in here, and they're gone. These are your representatives. They represent your beliefs and ideology and demands you make on them. And what do we see? What do we see? Bye, get away, lowly scum. I'm AOC. You can't get near me. I have a cool name. I have a cool celebrity name. Some people find me hot. Paparazzi takes pictures of me. That's a celebrity. That's not a representative of the people. But that's what we're down to. So, we don't put our celebrities, our beloved people that we put on pedestals, we don't put them in prison. Stop. That's silly. There's another clip I'll get to on the other side of the break here where Tulsi actually says something pretty good and pretty funny. She just rails on Hillary really bad because some things came out in various reports about Hillary's physical and mental health. And that doesn't seem so far-fetched. Back with that and a lot more, and your phone calls. Let me give the number out here again, 800-848-9222. And back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments. We were just talking about Tulsi Gabbard and this imminent indictment on some of the most powerful people in the world. Barack Hussein Obama, James Comey, all of the actors, Hillary Rodham Clinton, all the actors in the treason that took place during the first Trump campaign, trying to say that Trump and Russia, Putin, colluded and somehow affected that election that Hillary was supposed to win. It was guaranteed. And they screwed it all up. And boy, they were behind closed doors just working it, working their treason. A soft coup, as they like to call it. Let's see what Deanna from Brooklyn has to say about this, and then we'll move on to more Tulsi clips, especially this Hillary one. Deanna, what's up?
Hello. Your show is wonderful, and you're talking about the futility that people feel and you feel many times, but your show is the answer. Keep hammering away at the issues, Like, look at Al Gore. He hammers away. He just gave a speech that's even more insane about the climate and crap. But look, he said about 11 years ago, he said New York City would be underwater by 2024.
Underwater.
Yeah, and it's a lie. but it's politricks. I call it politricks.
Politricks, very good. Yes, I like
yes,
it.
Yes, because
Deanna.
they're a religion. The Democrat Party's become a religion. It's like if you're not a Democrat, then you're a heretic.
Yes,
you know?
you have to be 100% invested in everything that the Democrats say. You can't even have a differing opinion on one little thing. It's got to be 100%.
Amen, like the homeless, okay? The other day, somebody the guy gathered up a big loogie, and he spit right in my face. Some homeless guy.
Sorry to
man.
hear that.
But what do? You go, I'm going to go to the police and fill up. Hey, nothing will happen.
They're not going to do anything. No, of course not.
Yeah, amen. The one good thing, though, if we could really push rape, because all the rapists, the whole history of rape, when they get out, even if they have gray hair, white hair, they go back to raping.
Right, they just go right back. It's not something you can fix.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rape should be life in prison. Because
I think there are a lot of crimes like that, Deanna. There's a lot of crimes that the people cannot be rehabilitated. It's a psychiatric thing. It's a mental illness, and not one that you should have any sympathy for. But it's a mental illness that will never go away. It's in their genetic makeup, and a lot of these people should be dispatched. I mean, we really should look into that. Deanna, thank you so much for your call. Let me see here. Tulsi Gabbard. She's talking about Hillary, and in some of these reports that supposedly were evidence of this treasonous act to try to stir up this suspicion between Trump and Putin and the Steele dossier and collusion, Russia. We've heard it all. This is what they found on Hillary Clinton. And here's Tulsi telling you about it.
Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA director...
I love it. It's everything we kind of knew anyway. Remember her collapsing on 9/11? Not the building or anything, but she went to New York City for a 9/11 memorial thing, and she couldn't even stand. She was getting thrown into a van by her handlers, and then the weird faces she would make at some of these events when she's with her hubby Bill there, and the balloons came down, and she made this spazzy face, and the anger when she lost that 2016 election. Her headquarters was at the Javits Center in New York City, and Podesta was there, and all of her handlers and the campaign people, and of course the wonderful, we're breaking that glass ceiling, a first female president, those people that they had the Hillary hats on, the pins. They were so psyched because this was predestined. This was a given that Hillary Rodham was going to be the first woman president elected. And when that didn't pan out, and when we started seeing the Trump numbers come in, and by the way, one of the greatest nights of my life, I was doing my Compound Media show from our studios in New York City, broadcasting that election live. I had Nick DiPaolo on, Gavin McInnes, and a whole panel of people, and we were drinking and laughing and just watching CNN and MSNBC as those returns came in, and it got more and more grim for them. It was such a pleasure to watch. And the crying at that Javits Center, watching these beta men, they're beyond beta, and these women that thought this was their moment, just crying their eyes out. And then Hillary wouldn't come out and give a speech, a concession speech or a little pep talk for her supporters. Nothing. Because what we hear, what we've heard from witnesses backstage was that she had a temper tantrum second to none. Everything in the back was being thrown, bottles, chairs. She was yelling. Her eyes looked like they were bleeding, just rage, bloodshot, veins in her head. I would have loved to have seen this. I would have loved it. And it's because, you know, what Tulsi Gabbard just said, this woman is mentally ill. I'll go on record. I believe Hillary Rodham is mentally ill and has quite an anger problem. And I think that's been seen over the course of the years. That poor Bill Clinton. There's been some clips where they're having this nice little interview at their house, and Hillary's talking, and Bill's sitting there looking at her like a beaten dog, like a scared dog that's been beaten by this person and just doesn't want to get beaten again. So that was pretty interesting listening to Tulsi chalk that up. But again, it's something I think we all knew. Hey, back at base, am I 29:30 on this break? Thank you. Just want to get my times right. With the network thing being syndicated, I have to be on time with everything. But again, in closing on this issue, we'll take some calls on it if you want. But nothing will happen, unfortunately. It's like a big back and forth game. They say it's a distraction, and then the other thing becomes the distraction to the initial distraction. So that's kind of insane. So we look at the Epstein stuff now, and people are saying that's just that the Obama treason stuff is a distraction against Trump having been involved some way with Epstein. And they'll just keep going, both sides. And by the way, in the interim, nothing is getting done. I'm surprised that Trump did get the big, beautiful bill signed and done. But other than that, nothing is getting done. There's no bipartisan anything. Each side it's their mission to destroy any idea that the other team comes up with. And it's doing the country absolutely no good. So back in a flash. Don't go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments. Let's go to Richie in the Bronx, because this is a great take I heard about, that the Russian collusion that was supposed to have gotten Trump elected, the Russians actually wanted Hillary elected and were stockpiling stuff to discredit her. So if she did win the election, Russia would have all this dirt on her. Richie, am I kind of correct on that one?
A little bit. Yes. Good evening, Anthony.
Yes, Richie.
I'm saying that even if you believe that Russia wanted to influence the 2016 election, it would be ludicrous to assume that Russia would favor Donald Trump, because Russia already knew that Hillary could be bought because of the uranium incident.
Yes, and you know,
she was Secretary of State.
Yeah, the Secretary of State, the big reset button, all that nonsense. They knew they had a lot more leeway with Hillary than they ever would with Trump. Everything they came up with that was supposedly this collusion, or that Russia had compromised Trump in any way, turned out to be absolute nonsense. But the Hillary stuff, they did have legitimate stuff on Hillary Clinton. Richie?
Yes.
No, okay.
I agree.
To add to that.
Yes. They knew that Hillary could be bought because after Hillary, as Secretary of State, approved the acquisition by a Russian company of a significant amount of our uranium supply,
Yeah.
Russia gave a significant amount of contributions to the Clinton Foundation.
Well, Richie, don't be so rash there. I believe that was just payment for Bill giving a speech over there, because he was worth millions of dollars to give a speech to people, right?
Yes, but of course, I know you're being facetious.
Of course.
But of course, the fact that they invited him to speak and they paid him such a large amount of money was, of course, disguised contributions to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, and that foundation is nothing but a front company for their misdeeds that they get paid for. It goes into this Clinton Global Initiative, and then they say they're doing all this wonderful work, like in Haiti. I think the Clinton Global Initiative was a big player in Haiti, and how's that going? Interesting.
I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Oh, it's a good one. So much money was collected to help Haiti after the earthquakes, which seem to happen down there a lot. The earthquakes actually cause improvements on the landscape and construction in Haiti. But they had all this money for that, and there's no accounting of it. There's no accounting. And then supposedly people came up with some type of record of some of that money going to Chelsea's wedding and other things that had nothing to do with Haiti. Haiti's a disaster. What did they do with all that money if there's nothing to show for it? So, again, they're criminals, they're crooks. But, Richie, thanks for the call. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that will happen to them. They're way too powerful. Their tentacles are dug in way too deep. And I think the bottom line with all these powerful people, they all have enough information on each other to destroy any one of them. So that is like a détente. It's like a balance of power. They all have the atomic bomb. And if someone tries to screw with them, they could drop the atom bomb on all the rest of them. So that keeps the peace, if you want to even call it that, but it keeps them from being able to hold any of them accountable. They all have secrets on each other, and it'll never, hopefully, like the atom bomb, for them, hopefully we'll never have to use it, but it's there to keep the system going. Pretty sick. Fiasque me. Let's see. What else did I want to go to in this hour? Oh, yeah. Trump is also saying, there's a clip about the European immigration. This is, I think, aside from the speed bump to slow things down that has been the Trump administration's, both of them, I think we only have a speed bump here in the road to ruin because of illegal immigration coming into our country. We are a very big country geographically, politically, but I mean, as far as landmass goes, we're a pretty big country. Europe doesn't understand that a lot of times. They come here and they can't believe how giant the United States of America is. So with that, that buys us a little time. Like one of the callers earlier was saying, we have the opportunity to escape some of these cities, some of these garbage dumps that these cities have become because of illegal immigration, lawlessness in these liberal cities. We have the opportunity to move to places in this giant, wonderful nation where it hasn't really been affected by all that nonsense. But Europe is a lot different. Europe is made up, obviously, of a bunch of smaller countries that don't have that convenience of space to move away from the damage that's being done by this unfettered illegal immigration. that's going on. You have so many people from North Africa and sub-Saharan Africa going up the Mediterranean, and once they hit Italy, it's over. They just walk right through. They don't check the borders. It's the European Union. It's not like the old days where you'd need a passport to go between these countries in Europe. It's one big happy family now under one big happy liberal socialist rule. And what that has done is allowed third world countries to dump their garbage into Europe. And again, Trump says this, and what is he called? Racist, xenophobic, any kind of phobe or ist you can come up with. But the truth of the matter is, it is doing grave damage to Europe right now. They are in a spiral. The crime, the assaults. You want to talk about women's rights and women being able to feel safe? They don't feel safe in America. Try Europe. These North Africans that have no regard for the rights of a woman or the dignity of a woman. A woman is merely a tool for them to use however the hell they want. A lot of these North Africans, they've moved in to England. London is just a trash heap of this. And the sexual assaults and murders, they're on the rise. And no one can talk about it. You know, we have freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom of the press for how bad it's been infringed upon. In this country, it doesn't even come close to how badly it's been beaten in Europe, where they never really had it in the first place. But now, you say something bad about immigration, you're getting arrested. There was one of the people in charge of he's a law official in England, whatever their equivalent to maybe the FBI is, saying that he was proud and happy at the number of arrests they've made for posts that were put online. And it's all stuff about immigrants. That this is not the way we should be living. This is terrible. They're destroying our nation. And you can be arrested for that over there. So you think a lot of people are going to stand up and actually say something or do something? Not till it's too late. And it may already be too late. But here's Trump's take on it. It's a quick clip of him just saying that immigration is destroying Europe, and he's absolutely right.
Stop the windmills, and there's a couple of things I could say, but on immigration, you better get your act together, or you're not going to have Europe anymore. You got to get your act together. And we, as you know, last month we had nobody entering our country, nobody. Shut it down. And we took out a lot of bad people that got there with Biden. Biden was a total stiff. And what he allowed to happen, but you're allowing it to happen to your countries. And you got to stop this horrible invasion that's happening to Europe, many countries in Europe. Some people, some leaders have not let it happen. And they're not getting the proper credit they should. I could name them to you right now, but I'm not going to embarrass the other ones. But stop. This immigration is killing Europe. And the other thing, stop the windmills, killing the beauty of your countries. Thank you very much, everybody.
Stop the windmills and the immigrants. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. This is tragic. You can think back. You can watch movies, watch documentaries. Paris, France. Oh, my God. Everyone's dream. Romantic. Oh, we're going to Paris, darling. Ah, my dear, we're taking a cruise ship over to Paris. Carnival Cruise Line. I talk like this. I don't know why. It's 2025. It's going to be terrible. But back in the old days, when they really did talk like this, darling, we're going to Paris. And it was, amazing. Paris, France. London, England. Oh, you just take in the sights and meet the people. Go to a pub. Have a few Guinness with some of the locals. Whatever it is. Now, I haven't seen one video that has come out of Paris that doesn't look like a war zone. That doesn't look like it was a North African invasion of Paris, France. And it's sad, because you grow up, you hear about these places. I never went. I've never been to Europe. I just had so much, going on here. But one of these days I was like, I'll go one of these days. One of these days. And now you couldn't drag me over there. Why would I want to go to Paris when I could just fly up to New York City, walk through Times Square, and see as much dirt, filth, degenerate scum right there? What difference am I going to get in Paris, France, or Berlin, or London? What am I going to get? Italy's another one. If I ever wanted to go back to my homeland and go to Italy, I'd have to go to one of these very small villages way outside of any of the major cities. You want to go to Rome? Rome is a disaster. You step into Rome and your pockets get picked, and there's just scams and degenerate. It's Times Square. Any New Yorker or anyone that travels to New York on any regular basis knows that Times Square is the worst place in the world. It's just terrible. You would not want to go there. And that's what all of these European cities are. And again, like I said, they're a lot smaller than America. So they don't have the ability to, the Americans, we have the ability to move. I hate the fact that we have to. It would be nice if we could change things in some of these places where we live. But if it doesn't change, you got to leave. You just got to pick up and leave. And there's a lot of real estate in those flyover states and other places in this country where you can get away from that. But you can't really do that in Europe. They're taking over. It's terrible. I remember, I don't know. I remember really wanting to go there as a younger man. And now I could not be bothered. Could not be bothered. Let's go to, who's this? Oh, Matt. Matt in the Bronx. We like Matt. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Anthony, you touched on something earlier that I think that despite the rise of, alternative news media and blogs on the internet and, just independent podcasters, the mainstream mass media is still a weapon in the hands of the left. And yes. It works indispensably with the Democrat Party, with the DNC. And on this, I'm not going to belabor the topic, but anybody who really wants to get into it, naming the corporations, who the officers of those corporations are, and what their agenda is, there's a documentary. Yeah. It's called Who Rules America? Right. It's published by National Vanguard Books. And again, it names the corporations, the Disneys, the Viacoms, the Comcasts, and who these people are, who the officers are, and what their agenda is. And it's really a succinct explanation of how the mass media corrupts and destroys our republic from within. It's not even a foreign entity. It's right here in the United States. It's one of the, go ahead.
While we were always looking up, you're looking up at the sky for the foreign army's bombers, or where's the parachutes like in Red Dawn? We're being invaded, like it's an invasion, and that was the what we were sold growing up, that would be the only way America could be invaded, and we would defend ourselves, and we would obviously emerge victorious, shooting those horrible commie scum. But truth be told, it's been going on for many, many years, and it's been internal. It's been, you want to talk about traitors and coups, and not coups like coups, but a coup. You're talking about something that is taking place. We're in the midst of it. It didn't it's happened in the past, and it's been leading up to this, but it's happening right now, and it will continue to happen. We're in the middle of it. This is the war, and it's such an invisible war to a lot of Americans, because it's not soldiers and bombs and planes, that we didn't even know it was taking place for decades now.
Yeah, it's what the Iron Chancellor Otto von Bismarck referred to as the culture kampf, or the culture war. And again, these people really want to erase any memory of what America once was.
Right.
A white Christian republic based on the rule of law. They want to destroy that, or any vestige of it. That's not really why I called, but I really wanted to touch on Epstein. The Epstein files are critical that we do have all the information released to the public, because, the idea that there were no clients that Epstein and Maxwell were trafficking these minors to is just nonsense.
That
because
makes no sense.
if there were no clients, who were the women trafficked to and being paid for their services? Obviously there were people involved at the highest levels of government, entertainment, these higher echelon elite circles that, again, were engaged in illegal activity, sleeping with these underage minors.
Yeah,
but
and it was just, with the operation that this guy had going, it was just Sam from West Virginia or some other guy? Like, these were power brokers going to this guy's operation down there. And he never kept track, or never remembered who was coming and going in there, so to speak. It's crazy.
Sure. And there's also the connection between Epstein and the Mossad that needs to be really examined. Because if there's a foreign government, I don't care who they are, whether it's China, Iran, Israel, I don't care who they are. If there's a foreign government, linked to our politicians that has a shadowy figure like Epstein blackmailing our politicians into a quid pro quo, whereby whereby the politicians are gearing a policy that favors a certain foreign nation because that foreign nation has blackmail information on them, I think that should be examined. And those politicians are not only being blackmailed, they're committing treason by acting in the foreign interest of a foreign state and not the United States.
Yeah.
So if Epstein was a Mossad agent, that's even much more damaging than the fact that he's trafficking in underage minors.
Yeah. Well,
it's even more important.
It's not something that's unprecedented. Let's say that. I mean, this is something obviously that has been going on for quite some time. Blackmailing politicians, having that power. Matt, I gotta go and take a break, but we'll be back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments. We had a couple of pretty heavy-duty celebrity deaths over the past couple of weeks or how long has it been? Maybe a week. Obviously, Ozzy Osbourne, Abonanum. There he goes. He had his little, his concert. It was pretty big. But boy, what a way to go. You're like, yeah, Mama, I'm coming home. This is the final, the big ending, the returning to, and then he just checks out. Yeah, you gotta give that some, gotta give him some credit for that one. And then the Hulkster, brother, the Hulk died. And I was hearing that he was sick for quite some time. The only one really talking about it was Bubba the Love Sponge out of Florida. And he had said that Hulk was sick, really gravely sick, for a couple of weeks now. He's been saying this. And no one picked up on it. Everyone was like, oh, really? Yeah. Because you'd hear stories like, oh, yeah, Hulk's going to be here or there. He's got this going. And then he dies. So, maybe Bubba knew something. Bubba's also the guy who Hulk had sex with Bubba's wife. Remember that story? And then there was a big lawsuit. Oh, boy. You don't want to be part of that. I've been part of some crazy stuff, but you don't want to be part of that. So the wrestling world in mourning. A lot of these superstars from the past and present saying, telling little stories about Hulk. Jesse the Body Ventura had something to say, but this was recorded before Hulk died, which I like because now you're getting an honest assessment. Let's listen to a little of Jesse talk about Hulk as a friend.
You and Hulk were once good friends.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of that ever being repaired?
Never.
What?
Can't trust him. I'm not friends with anyone I don't trust. I have to have a trust with someone to be their friend. And he's the one that ratted me to Vince when I tried to unionize. I found that out under federal deposition when Vince was put under sworn, and he didn't hesitate at all. I told my lawyer the story, and in deposition you could ask about anything. And so I wanted to know who ratted me in the locker room because there were no agents, no one from the office was in there when I did it. So it had to be one of the boys. And when my attorney said, Mr. McMahon, has there ever been a union in wrestling? And Vince said, no. He said, has anyone ever tried to? And Vince said, well, I think Jesse Ventura spouted his mouth off about it once before. And my attorney said, did you hear Mr. Ventura? No. Well, then how do you know he did? With no hesitation, Vince went, Hulk Hogan told me. And I didn't show any emotion, but I almost tipped over in the chair because he was my friend. And I thought, but then I understand why. When we went to court, I saw in WrestleMania 3, Hogan got paid more than all of us combined. Now, why would he want a union?
All of us combined. Why would he? Well, it makes sense. Yeah. Why would Hulk? Well, why do you not like him for ratting you out to the big boss there? And unionize? Did they ever unionize? I have no idea, but it's just funny to hear Jesse. He lied. I can't trust anyone. They can't be my friend. It was Hulk Hogan that ratted me. All right. Well, you can't blame him, but now that he's dead, I wonder how many times Jesse will be telling that story. Probably never. New York City. Hi, New York City. You got your big mayor race. Boy, this thing is heating up, isn't it? Is it? I don't even know. I know you got your communist guy, and then you got your the mayor that's in there already that hasn't really done much of anything, and you got the guy that allegedly murdered old people during COVID. And then you got Curtis Lewa, a longtime New Yorker, understands the city, understands the people, actually goes and talks to the people. So I don't know. I can't trust you're going to do the right thing. You rarely do, New York. I don't know. I go back up there about once a month, and I try to take a month to put things in perspective and think, well, maybe they've figured it out. And then I go up there and go, oh, boy, New York, what are you doing? So Mayor Adams has this is a story that was making the rounds a couple of days ago. He appointed, because he has the power to do that, the head of the NYPD's aviation unit. Now, you're in New York. You see the helicopters up there, the NYPD helicopters. They have to have a boss. You can't just run into one of these helicopters and take off. So he appointed the head of the NYPD's aviation unit. Well, he was booted from the elite squad this week after trying to block the feds from probing his dangerous mishaps. So this Mayor Adams, he has appointed more incompetent people because, again, he puts more credence in color and race than he does in somebody's actual ability to do the job. So he appointed this guy, Winston Faison. I'm Winston Faison. And aviation's commander, he's called an incompetent boob who had who called him an incompetent boob. It's in quotes, so I guess somebody said it. He had numerous breaches in safety as he attempted to make himself the unit's head helicopter instructor. Like, this guy not only wanted to be head of the unit, he wanted to instruct everybody that was also coming in to the aviation unit. That's interesting. Why wouldn't you just be the head of the unit? Well, it seems this guy was a bit of a narcissist. He didn't want anybody getting any more power than he was willing to give them. So now we have this guy. He's gone, thank God. But let's see some of the mishaps he's had over the course of his flying career. Let's see. Oh, when the feds came to investigate first, let me get this. He said, don't give them anything. See, the feds showed up, the FAA, and he said, don't give them anything. Who let them on base? He was mad that the FAA had shown up. Members have complained to the FAA and the NYPD Internal Affairs Bureau about Faison, 52, who took over the job in 2023 after stints at Youth Strategies, Community Affairs, and 2 Brooklyn precincts. It doesn't sound a lot like he had a lot of experience in, aviation at this point. Interesting. All right, he nearly crashed at the Brooklyn home base while flying the unit's pricey Bell 407 training helicopter with a student next to him. During a hard landing last week, just last week, he and a student, I guess a week before he got fired, him and the student hit the ground hard. Neither was hurt, thank goodness. Took the same helicopter for a solo jaunt up the Hudson River on April 25th. He was flying in the wrong seat against manufacturer's rules. There are emergency procedures that can only be performed sitting in the right-hand seat, said the police source. Not a police horse. That would be silly. Police source said. The helicopter's tail rotor leaked oil, and Faison didn't catch it because he doesn't do pre-flight checks as required by the FAA. When he landed, the tail of the aircraft was covered in oil. Hired new employees without the oversight of the NYPD, and sources said he's working around department rules to get his people in. It's always cronyism and we need to get more people of my race or religion or ethnic background. That's what they do. That's what DEI is all about, by the way, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You get one of these guys in, and they will do the job. They'll just keep hiring people that look like them, and they don't care about how effective they are on the job. Like Adams appointed this guy. I'm sure that he could have found much more qualified people. He oversped his rotor which could have torched the $500,000 engine they just got. He drooped the rotor system down to dangerously low speeds, nearly crashing, all right, and caused structural damage to a $40,000 tail rotor while practicing a quick-stop maneuver over rocks. Yeah, you can't have that. That's kind of an important part, the tail rotor of a helicopter. He didn't understand why he couldn't keep flying. The incident wasn't immediately reported to the NTSB as required. Let's see what else he did. It cost, the unit had to buy 2 new tail rotor blades for a total of $80,000. He screwed up the tail rotor to the tune of $80,000. This guy is, as they call him, an incompetent boob. The only way this guy is going to learn his lesson is when he kills somebody, another source added. He was put in charge of the unit in 2023, and he made $235,000 in 2024. He got the coveted helicopter instructor's license in record time on the city's dime, despite showing up late to an $80,000 course in Texas that concerned trainers in the Lone Star State, called the unit's base at Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn. It used to take decades to become a helicopter instructor in the unit, the third source says. This guy did it in 18 months. Oh, boy. He went to a training program on the city's dime, cost more than $100,000 for one, $80,000 for the other, and around $20,000 for a third, including the air and sea rescue class. Meanwhile, pilots in the unit are working double and triple shifts because of high attrition. He used up all the hours on the helicopter, a fourth source said, explaining that helicopters have to be taken out of service after so many hours of flying. There were pilots sitting around because he pushed them aside for himself. Well, that's how you get an instructor's license in 18 months. You don't let anyone else fly. What a piece of garbage. So thank God they got rid of him before he did kill somebody. But this is a huge problem with Adams, the Chicago mayor. You know, I'm all for diversity if it actually is merit-based. If diversity happens as a side effect of appointing the best people for the job, you shut your eyes and you're told who the best people are and you appoint them to the job. And then you open your eyes and realize that you've appointed a diverse group of people. Well, you did that because you appointed the, all right, let's be real. That's never going to happen, right? But let's just say it did. You've appointed people based on merit. And it just happened that they were also very diverse. You can't appoint diversity and then just hope that they also are all extremely competent at what they're doing. It doesn't work that way. Might work the other way. Usually doesn't. You know, people got to work on that, I guess. But truth be told, diversity for diversity's sake is one of the worst things you can do in any aspect of life. Helicopter pilot, running a company, whatever it is. It just doesn't make sense. It's a feel-good nonsense thing that winds up getting people killed. Yes, killed. People. Well, that's Mayor Adams. So another reason to get out there in November and vote for Curtis Sliwa. Vote for Curtis. What's your problem? All right, back in moments with a lot more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Stay tuned. What were people expecting? That's my take on this story. What were people expecting? The Polo Bar in New York City, a very popular, very high-end, exclusive, celebrity kind of the place actors would go and people of note. The Polo Bar, an exclusive Manhattan night spot that counted Meghan Markle, Kamala Harris, and Leonardo DiCaprio as customers, is a hotbed for sexual harassment among employees who use spray bottles to take cocaine during their shifts and had a rating system for good-looking customers. A bombshell lawsuit alleges. Is this really a bombshell? Let's really think about that. It's a high-end celebrity bar, restaurant, I guess. Where is it? It's 55th Street and 5th Avenue. Has a toxic culture. A bar and restaurant owned by fashion icon Ralph Lauren. Rampant drug use and alcohol consumption at work, a veteran former server claimed in a federal lawsuit. If you're working at, I would say, any restaurant, there's a culture in restaurant work. Even I, Anthony Cumia, had worked in a restaurant in my younger days. Hated it. I hate the whole, it's too fast. There's no breaks. When the restaurant's busy, you're busy. You can't take a break. You can't go to the bathroom. You can't just sit down, have a drink, whatever. It's like nonstop. I hate that. I hate that kind of job. Although I do 3 hours here and I can't just walk away. So what does that mean? But if you're working in a bar, restaurant, that whole culture is about guys and girls really doing a lot of flirting, a lot of busting balls, as they call it. You get pissed at one of them, then you're laughing. There's drinking. And, yeah, as far as drug use goes, you don't want to be like falling down, fentanyl, doing the fentanyl lean when you have a table, But I don't think that's what it is. Coke, I would think that's a great thing for a server to do, is some cocaine. Yeah. Get my stuff. Get it fast. I don't want to have to wait. Be attentive. So Coke, I don't see a problem with that with servers. Let's see, the Swanky Polo Bar, a bar and restaurant owned by fashion icon Ralph Lauren. Male bosses groped underlings under the guise of checking their uniforms, and managers and servers often openly used cocaine. Frank Nobiletti claimed in court papers. So is this the guy, Frank Nobiletti? Is he the killjoy that doesn't understand when you work in a restaurant, it's a restaurant? It's a very weird, not corporate atmosphere. If the owner of the place, on the other hand, is very strict and regimented and some of the workers are doing things he doesn't want, well, then there's a problem. If it's just another one of the workers, well, get your ass out of there and go work at another place. Go somewhere else. Don't ruin it for everyone that wants to check work uniforms underneath the underlings' clothes and do a little cocaine. What a killjoy. So they say they regularly mixed cocaine with water in a spray bottle and then would spray it on their skin during service. Is that a thing? Can you do that? I've never heard of that. And I got through the 80s. I went through the 80s, kids. So I know a little bit about cocaine. But who's got the nerve to take cocaine and dump it in a bottle of water? You might get hit for that. Back in the old days, anyway. Let's see what else this guy is saying. Who's Dodson? I guess Dodson is one of the people mentioned in the lawsuit. Dodson was known to hire only attractive men, even if they had zero experience. Yeah, that's how you get celebrities to come into your stupid bar restaurant. You hire attractive men and women. What do you think? You want to go to a Red Lobster or, Hospitaliano Olive Garden, you could have fatzos waiting on your table. Doesn't really matter. You have ugly people. When you are running a bar restaurant that has the likes of Leo DiCaprio and his little nymphs coming in with him, you better have some attractive people. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing of having a popular club in New York. He was hoping to have a sexual relationship with them. Gay. Nobiletti claimed in the lawsuit, male employees who had a sexual relationship would receive preferential treatment. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes, too. You don't like it? Get a job somewhere else. Go work somewhere else. It's not like he came after you. You didn't have to bow to his whims. Workers also allegedly played a twisted rating game with the women customers, rating them based on attractiveness. Well, I've never. Are you kidding? Imagine a bunch of guys working somewhere and rating women on their attractiveness. Is there a place where a straight guys work where this doesn't happen? No. I'll answer that. No. Anytime a group of guys, and by group I mean two or more, get together, they will rate women based on their attractiveness. This guy just seems like a real sticky wicket, a real pain in the ass. But he'll make bank. He'll get money off of this. That's all you got to do. Get a few liberal feminists in the jury, and this guy's walking away with a few mil. And by the way, if that was his intent, I'll have more respect for him. If his intention was to rat this place out, take it to court, and make millions, you got to respect that. But if he's just doing it because he was genuinely offended by what's going on in a restaurant, I defy anyone that works or worked in a restaurant in any time, 80s, 90s, 2000s, anytime, to not agree with me that that is an environment of partying and, a lot of busting balls, a lot of sexual innuendo, a little smack on the ass kind of a thing that goes on. Yeah, that's what happens. And to sue, I mean, just leave. I don't know why people, especially a waiter, like a waiter or a waitress, let's be honest. It's not like you're leaving your tech job and you have to find another one. I can only imagine that a waiter or a waitress, if they get fired or quit, they will have a job the next day. They will have a job the next day because it's kind of in demand and it's not really something that you need to be very trained at. You could kind of just pick it up very quickly. Some people are very good at it. Some people are bad at it. But for the most part, you'll have a job the next day. So go get one. Leave the people that are having fun alone. Some people just want to have fun at work. Knock it off. People like having fun at work. It makes them forget for a second that they're at work. Anthony from Queens. What's up, Anthony? Good name, by the way.
Anthony, the man, the legend. Sipa Cumia.
Thank you, sir.
How's it going, Anthony? Yeah,
very well.
Work. Good, very good, very good. Listened to you for a long time now. You're the man, Anthony.
Thank you.
Yeah, the restaurant, it is what it is, but, you know, like, you got these, like, liberals or whatever, because they always say that, like, the Spanish or the Mexicans work in the kitchen. There's a lot of, like, white people that work in the kitchen, too, and everything, you know?
Uh-huh.
And, like, you know, you got to deal with what you got to deal with, whatever. It's a hustle.
Yep.
But, you know, you got to deal with whatever. And I don't know. I don't want to curse or anything like that. But
well, don't.
If this
yes.
Guy, if this guy Mandami wins, I honestly don't really care because this city has pretty much gone down the you-know-what already.
Well, yeah, obviously that guy will be a detriment to any business in New York because he's a socialist, with really a communist, and he's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
His parents got money, he's got money, and he talks about, you know, the evil, wealthy people, and he would never utilize any of these socialist systems or the buildings. Or you think Mamdani would go to the socialist restaurant or socialist grocery store to get what he wants? Absolutely not. That's a socialist. That's what they do. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate the call. The restaurant business. Poor bastards working at the restaurant. This story's this has to do with the Epstein thing, but also Kevin Spacey. This Kevin Spacey, of course, great actor. I mean, I've always loved watching movies with Kevin Spacey in them. I think he's a very good actor, and it's a shame he got blackballed for doing what everyone in Hollywood does. Yeah, you're horrible people. You're sexual degenerates. You demean people. You sexually assault people. This is the Hollywood credo. But he must have done something to annoy somebody of power in Hollywood. And they pulled out their atom bomb. Like I said before, they all have atom bombs on other people. But if you do something wrong, they'll use it on you. Because I don't see as how Kevin Spacey did anything different than any of them. He supposedly sexually harassed guys when they would come to his house. He would get young actors to come to his house or his apartment under the guise of, I'm going to teach you a little something about acting. First of all, how stupid do you have to be? This guy is legendarily gay, and you go to his house to learn about acting? Just stop. How naive are some of these idiots? So he did that, and he harassed, from what I heard, some guy, and it went to court. Nothing ever really came of it, but he was blackballed from Hollywood. A loss to us, the people that like watching movies and his acting. So, good luck. So here he is talking about the time he was on a plane, the Epstein plane, with Bill Clinton and a bunch of young girls going to Africa. Yeah. Let's listen to Kevin Spacey, shall we?
I was very fortunate that President Clinton introduced me a lot of business leaders in London because he knew I was coming to the Old Vic. Do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, who is this guy? So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights?
There were young girls on those flights, yeah. And that's been out. They've talked about it. But here's my point. There's a big difference between not remembering that I met some guy and some woman on a humanitarian trip where my focus was entirely on what we were there to do and not remembering whether I went to somebody's island. So I never went to Jeffrey Epstein's island. I did not know him, and I never saw him or her after that morning at Buckingham Palace. He didn't even come to Buckingham Palace.
Is it true that Prince Andrew sought your assistance and wanted you to testify that Ghislaine Maxwell was your guest, not his, during that Buckingham Palace tour?
I heard a report about that, but at no time did anyone ever contact me on his behalf. And as I say, I'm not friends with him. I never saw him after that day.
What do you think about what's happened to him?
I don't know anything about it. It's not. I'm not going to talk about someone else's scandal, you know.
Russia, so they settled on Carter Page, and in order to get a surveillance authority on Page, they had to use the Steele dossier because there was no other credible intelligence.
Yeah, that was Kevin Spacey talking about Epstein and the plane and Clinton and young girls. Imagine that. Imagine Kevin Spacey is the kind of voice of reason in that whole thing. Like, yeah, I was doing humanitarian work in South Africa. Were you? What is Kevin Spacey doing on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton going to South Africa for some charity work? Stop it. Just stop. Like I said, he's just as guilty as everyone in Hollywood, and they're disgusting people. But you know, he's just as disgusting as the rest of them. So when he says, "Oh, I was looking at Epstein and the young girls and Bill Clinton, thinking this could harm Bill Clinton, him being on this flight. We're doing humanitarian work." Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can only imagine the damage Kevin Spacey was doing in South Africa at the time. Oh my God, picking up some young black men. Oh, jeez. But there he is, you know, saying that he was the voice of reason. I would never have gone to the island or anything. Yeah, why would you have to? You got everything you need in Hollywood. You got a little power base. You obviously have a name for yourself in acting. You're a respected actor. And there's plenty of young men in Hollywood that want a break and are willing to do anything for it. This guy, I believe Kevin Spacey, no better than Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein had a little more power as far as being a producer, especially with Miramax. You know, a lot of young women wanted to do Quentin Tarantino movies and whatnot. But, you know, this guy was constantly having boys over his place under the guise of teaching them to act. So him having this holier than thou, I was thinking, oh, these girls on the plane, this could hurt the president. Were you? Somehow I don't believe it. Let's go to Joaquin in Pennsylvania. What's up, my friend?
Hey, good evening, Mr. Cumia. Hey. I need to wake you up for a moment because earlier you said something.
Uh-oh.
You said that both sides should be working together for the good of the country.
No, you misunderstood. You misunderstood. I didn't say they should be. I said they aren't, and there's no way they will. And they used to. They used to for the better of the country. I didn't say that the right and left, the Democrats and Republicans of today, obviously wouldn't be beneficial to work together for the American people.
Okay, I stand corrected then, because I was going to say, what Democrats' policy could anyone actually support?
But,
you know,
yeah.
The other thing, too, was, and really, I'm kind of going back, you had a caller last week, Chris, but it even plays into today, you know, when it comes down to Epstein, you know, everybody says Epstein is not important. What's really, truly important is Epstein's death. And just like Butler, Pennsylvania, that's in our faces, you know, and it's almost telling us who's in charge, because I don't think anybody, you know, can actually believe that was a suicide with all the information that's out there.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem there, Joaquin. To Do you think we'll ever 100% know and have the facts of what happened in Butler or what happened to Epstein? Because here's the thing. If there's even 1% of doubt, that's plenty. That's enough for anyone to go, well, we don't know for sure. So there'll always be that deniability, even if it's implausible deniability. It's at least deniability, so the people that want to believe that something else happened than what really did happen are going to run with that. And you'll never convince half of this country on any subject, even if it is right in their face.
You know, and also, too, you know, there's a basically Democrat-Republican establishment, and it's versus the MAGA agenda, because you look at recently, you know, Musk went running to Mike Pence, and then Obama and Bush come out together against USAID. And even when it comes down to the whole Russia collusion thing that everyone's investigating, when Trump got into office, when everything was controlled by, you know, the Republicans, the Senate and the Congress, they could have squashed that whole thing, but nobody did. You know, everybody said that it should play out. You know, we need to find the truth out about it. So it shows that there's an establishment. And once Trump is gone, I really have to wonder what's going to happen. You know, I mean, where are the next Donald Trumps to step up to the plate and to continue with the America First agenda?
Isn't that the real question here? Because, you know, Democrat, Republican president over the course of the years, you know, you kind of knew what you were getting. A Democrat's been in office for 4 years, 8 years. All right, here's the Republican. You kind of knew what you were getting. Trump is such a monkey wrench and a different type of president that you can't compare him to anything. So what do we get next? Do we go right back to business as usual and just have to deal with the same, you know, side of what is it? The same side of the different coin? How does that saying go?
Right.
Whatever it is.
Well, yeah, two sides of it.
Two sides of the same coin. Or will somebody come out of the woodwork and, you know, be the next iteration or the next step we need to take in the America First agenda?
I think that really that there's been an ongoing agenda, anti-American agenda, anti-Judeo-Christian, quote-unquote, white Western Judeo, you know, Western civilization agenda that's been going on for quite a while. And Donald Trump is the one guy that stood up and said no, because all this flooding of our borders, you know, when you're bringing in people, you know, like Steve brings up, you know, from Manhattan, the 1965 immigration. Yeah, back then it was limited to 80. It was 85%, you know, Europeans into the country, and everyone else is 15%. And now DEI, really, when it comes right down to it, seems like the destruction of white Western Judeo-Christian civilization is what the whole agenda really is. And you look at what's going on with the white genocides in Africa, and it's in your face. And, you know, if we don't, and then we're told that we're white supremacists.
Yes.
No, that's not the case. If it's the other way around, you know, you'd be called a racist, or, you know, so we're really sitting in a situation right now. And also, you know, Matt, with his anti-Israel agenda, you know, why doesn't anybody bring up that it could be MI6, you know, the Brits intelligence that was behind Epstein?
Well, I think, I think plenty of our allies, supposed allies, spy on us, use us, and that's been happening for quite some time. But I have to assume we get something out of it, regardless of who it is. Unless it's all just based on blackmail. And boy, I would hate to think that, but who knows? Again, I am but a former shock jock. What do I know, Joaquin? I got to move on, but thank you for the call, my friend. There was a girl I was just watching on X, and she was talking about people saying this country was built on immigrants. You know, everyone likes saying that. They leave out the illegal part because they're trying to defend illegal aliens. I don't even want to say immigrants. Illegal aliens. And they say, like, well, the country was built on immigrants. Well, immigrants. That's not illegal aliens. And there's another big part of this that she brought up, and it was something I hadn't heard yet in this argument. they weren't immigrants back then building this country. They were settlers. They were explorers. Immigrants go from a crappy situation. They want to leave their country and go to a better life. And they go to a country that already has a system in place, and they contribute what they know and what they can do to make it better. That's an immigrant from yesteryear. But the country from sea to shining sea was built on settlers and explorers and pioneers and people that had incredible courage, gumption, and strength to pack up everything they had, which wasn't much, put it in a covered wagon, and truck off west into God knows what. And it was usually some pretty horrific stuff. And then when they found that place, that plot of land next to a river with a nice tree, and they settled there and built a life for themselves, their families, and their subsequent generations of ancestors. So to say that the country was built on immigrants is just dishonest. It's not the truth. America was the place people came to work very hard and build a life for themselves that in turn contributed to the country. But what they were doing was leaving something terrible, coming to something terrible, but at least it had the opportunity to make something for them and their family, and, subsequent generations to come. So just stop trying to equate illegal aliens with the people that came here and had unbelievable struggles, toiled, death, horrible death. And, a Mexican coming across the border illegally, getting credit cards, being put up in luxury hotels. You want to equate that? You want to equal that it's the same thing that happened when these settlers came and died trying to make better lives for themselves, to get a debit card and a luxury Manhattan hotel room? Go screw. Unbelievable, the set on some of these people that say that. But, yeah, not immigrants. Not immigrants. Settlers, pioneers, amazing people, explorers. That 1% of the population now couldn't do what the weakest of them did back then. I go on, but we'll be back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Stick around. We'll leave you with something with a little levity to it, because I love watching videos of liberal women getting so angry at everything. I can't imagine they ever have one moment of joy. And they seem to get annoyed at everything, from the most important thing, which they have no clue about, to the most minuscule little problem, which they probably also have no clue about. But this woman really made me laugh. Sydney Sweeney is, I guess, the it girl of now, or at least one of them. Even some people I see, it's like, she's nothing special. You see like a picture of her, and she's just looks awesome. And guys are like, yeah, it's like any girl I see walking around where I'm from. Where you from? Just stop. She's very attractive. Let's just say that. I think we can. Any normal dude can appreciate the look of a Sydney Sweeney. She's in that show Euphoria. She does a lot of print ads and internet ads. So she's doing an ad for jeans, American Eagle jeans. And the way they wrote these ads is it's kind of a double entendre thing. Jeans, Genes, and jeans, Jeans, that she has good genes. Now, no one, unless you were a complete lunatic, would think that this has anything to do with eugenics or Nazis. You know, the genetics of a blonde, blue-eyed, buxom girl like Sydney Sweeney. No one would think that. They would go, all right, they're using the jeans thing. You know, it's jeans, pants, but genetically jeans. And no one would think, it's just that she's a pretty girl. So you get these disasters with the horrible hair with the blue or pink dye, the nose, the snout ring like they're livestock. They're all way too overweight, and they're messes. And obviously they have unbelievable jealousy towards anyone like Sydney Sweeney, who gets gawked at everywhere. So here's this girl trying to say that these commercials are fascist and Nazi. Listen to this idiot.
I will be the friend that's too woke because those Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads are weird. Like fascist weird. Like Nazi propaganda weird.
Like
my body's composition is determined by my genes. Hey, eyes up here.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
Should we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle
literally
is making fascist propaganda like this?
Propaganda.
Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes.
Yeah.
Like, that is Nazi propaganda. I also am thinking about like all of the young girls who are doing their back to school shopping right now at places like American Eagle who are seeing ads like this. Yikes. Also, American Eagle is mostly a brand that like teenagers to like young adults shop at, and so the fact that like this type of advertising is being used that feels so for the male gaze and so over sexualized, like I just don't like it. I don't like it even a little bit, bro.
That's pretty much all we need to get that. I mean, can you believe that? And if you saw this woman, she is really not attractive. She's a 3, if that. So obviously she's a little annoyed that Sydney Sweeney is a pretty girl. Yeah, what's wrong with having a pretty girl that's blonde hair, blue eyes, and saying that she has good genes? And even if you're using it as the genes like the pants, the play on words, that it's also she has good genes. Yeah, she does. How do people deny the blatantly obvious now without just being told right to their face, you're an idiot? It is so obvious that she has good genes, good genetics. She looks good. She's built well. You, on the other hand, have terrible genetics. You're a mess. You're a disaster. So she's got to, call it Nazi. Anything they don't like is Nazi, fascist, oppressive, and kids are going to buy that. Yeah. Because maybe they want to look like Sydney Sweeney in high school. What the hell? When will these people, well, they'll never wake up. They need that proverbial smack in the face. Like, thanks, I needed that. They all need it. Back next week. Thank you for tuning in this Sunday to my program. I look forward to being here next week. See you then.